Nothing really came from it. They're no closer to ending the Russia-Ukraine war, no closer to a ceasefire, no closer to a framework of an agreement that they could potentially expand upon. So it honestly does appear to be a kind of a total waste of time. So here we have Fareed Zakaria of CNN. He spoke to Jake.
Okay, so in this clip, we're going to look at the leftists from CNN and even Kyle Kulinski. Everybody's going to, of course, give their reaction to what's going on with Trump and, you know, the summit. Trump did meet up with Putin. This was a huge thing. And, I mean, you know, the problem is that we could always take people's opinions into account, but when they keep on, you know, like, when you know it comes from a place of TDS, it's like then the credibility is kind of shot. I feel bad saying that, but it's just simply the fact. But Fareed Zakaria from CNN is going to, of course, make some. Fareed Zakaria and Jake Tapper and Kyle Kulinski, they're all going to say pretty much the same thing, that somehow, you know, that Trump completely failed.
Tapper and sort of laid out what the stakes are here. And first of all, they're not buying it. Second of all, in a little bit, I'll come back and I'll give you the stories on the ground as to what it was like in the room. Paint a pretty devastating picture. Apparently, people all around Trump were shocked. Their faces were like, you know, in awe. They're awestruck, dumbstruck when they got out of the meeting with Putin. And then I'll tell you how we have classified information that is already leaking from that meeting. So here we go.
President Trump called the meeting extremely productive. He definitely tried to put a positive spin on, let's be frank, he was trying to bring peace and end a war. I mean, there's nothing wrong about his goal, but it does appear that there really wasn't anything concrete achieved. No ceasefire, no sanctions relief or sanctions imposed. We don't really know where we are other than Putin got himself a summit in Alaska.
The problem here is Trump was warned by Zelensky and warned by a bunch of people, like, look, wanting peace is good, but the point is he doesn't actually want peace, right?
You know, when it comes to this Ukraine situation, leftists like Kyle Kulinski absolutely confuse me. Like, they really just think that Russia just woke up. I don't understand. I used to think that leftists were good with geopolitics, but the hate for Russia is beyond me. It really is beyond me. Because you have to understand, Kyle is getting ready to sound like a complete warmonger. CNN, they promote wars on CNN. I mean, this is where we got, you know, things like weapons of mass destruction, things like that. So I expect that from them because they're an establishment, corporate, you know, newsroom that takes money from the military-industrial complex and whatever have you. But a person in their house, why do you want to see war with Russia? It's like to even start off by saying, oh, well, you know, Zelensky warned him that peace is good, but what? We need to have diplomatic discussions. This is not a locker room or, you know, some high school where, oh, I'm not going to talk to you. I have nothing to say to you. Like, come on. This is war, bro. Like, now, this is ridiculous.
So you can come up with some sort of an agreement. You can come up with some sort of a bullshit ceasefire. But the next day, when Russia starts shooting again at Ukraine, you look like you were played for a fool because you were played for a fool because he's not interested in peace. Like, that's the bottom line. And so remember when Zelensky was in the White House and he was getting yelled at by J.D. Vance and yelled at by Donald Trump, and they were saying to him, like, you know, you're rolling the dice with World War III. You're gambling with World...
Okay, he barely let them... I want to hear what Fareed Zakaria has to say, because I'm not doing this with Kyle Kulinski, because everything goes back to Trump with these people. We can't even talk about geopolitics without it being about Trump. Of course, Trump's name should be in there, but can you remove Trump from it? I don't understand. Again, a leftist who's never read Jacobin magazine, who has not heard of the Maidan coup, things. What's going on?
Telling him from the beginning he should have been.
I think you have it right, Jake. Look, the atmospherics of the entire summit were somewhat cringeworthy. The fact that Putin was being welcomed on American soil, the fact that Trump gave him literally a red carpet treatment, the kind he has rarely given to any Democratic ally of the United States. You can tell that Trump thinks Putin is an equal, is this big shot on the world stage, and he's been treated by the rest of the West as a kind of pariah. I mean, he can't go to Europe because he'd be arrested.
Oh my God.
This is crazy. Let's see what Kyle says. But these people are dangerous.
Yeah, he yells at Zelensky in the White House. He literally has a red carpet rolled out for Putin. And there's pictures from beforehand of American soldiers on their hands and knees by the Russian plane laying out that red carpet. Trump really does have an affinity for strongman dictators. And he really does hate leaders of other democracies that are supposed to be our allies.
What is going on with Kyle Kulinski? Like, oh my God, these people. So, I try to give people a chance, but he's retarded. Like, Zelensky held elections, bro. He is a dictator. What is going on? I just assumed that leftists understood this a little better. I keep saying that. I'm sorry, but this is very shocking. And not only that, is it dangerous? Like, oh yeah, he rolled out the road. Like, what do you want him to do? Kick him down the hall? Like, this is called diplomacy.
It was positive that there was no deal. I think everyone was worried that there was going to be a deal in which Trump was going to make major concessions. I don't think anyone thought Putin was going to make any concessions. The fear was that Donald Trump was going to cave in various ways, sell out Ukraine, sell out the Europeans, and he didn't do that. And so I think, I'm at least relieved.
Why didn't he do that, though, Fareed? Dig a little deeper. Why didn't he do that? He didn't do that because we made an exploitative colonialist deal with Ukraine where we get to extract their natural resources, like 40% of them or something like that. I mean, we get their minerals, their ports, like all this different.
We didn't make a deal because we don't have the leverage for a deal. I'm not gonna let this propaganda even start. Like, okay.
His strategy was he was going to make no substantive concessions of any kind, but he was going to really amp up the flattery of Trump. So he says if Trump had been president, there would have been no war, which is easy for him to say now. Trump should get the Nobel Prize. He's amazing. All that, it was cheap and easy rhetoric for Putin, but he laid that on thick.
Played him like a fiddle, bro. Played him like a fiddle.
These people want us to go into a hot war with Russia. Like, it's all cute and fun until your family's going into Moscow or, wherever. Like, really? I mean, what is it that people wanted here? This is not a serious discussion. And the fact, again, that Kyle Kulinski is using CNN for this and, like, agreeing with CNN. So you have to understand that the culture of alternative news is to not be so excited about the corporate press, especially when you think of things like weapons of mass destruction. And we know who funds the corporate press. I mean, we've heard, or maybe Kyle hasn't, of like the reports of people saying like literally representatives from the Pentagon will sit in these newsrooms and be like, this is what you're going to say next. Fareed Zakaria is saying he's happy there was no peace deal, while a bunch of Ukrainians and Russians are being slaughtered in a war. When they run out of those people, well, who are they going to send?
Comes back empty-handed, but, in a way, better to come back empty-handed than to have given away, a quarter of Ukraine.
Right, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people breathing easy in Ukraine because of that. I wonder if you think, with no apparent
again, how disrespectful. You know how they conscript people into the war in Ukraine? They literally pick them up. Nobody wants to be in war. They want peace. So, I'm glad, I'm sure there's people who feel good that they didn't have to give up some of, we have not lived the life that they have lived in the past couple of years. You know how many, like, Orthodox Ukrainian, what's happened to Ukraine is out of pocket before this war, to be honest, with our meddling. But the fact, again, that people can sit here and make it seem like this was a good thing, that we didn't get peace right away. I didn't think we were going to get peace right away, but not like this. This is not good.
concrete progress at this summit, at least none that was announced. Is there an upside for President Trump? I mean, he can say he tried for peace, and that's not nothing, but there's also the flip side of that, which is Putin might leave here bolstered, both domestically and on the international stage, no?
Well, Putin has gotten a lot in the sense that he got the recognition, he got the stage, he got the invitation to the United States. He also got the delay of all kinds of new sanctions that Trump had threatened. Remember, Trump had set deadlines, and he said if there isn't a ceasefire, Putin doesn't agree to these terms, there will be consequences, there will be severe consequences. None of that appears to be happening. And in fact, Foreign Minister Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, said he expects sanctions to be lifted as a result of this. Now, he said that a little earlier, so we don't know where that is. But yeah, it's hard to spin this in a positive direction if you believe that, it is important to preserve Ukraine as an independent sovereign state. But
I don't care what they do with Ukraine. I would like for Ukrainians to stop being forced into a war that America concocted. Remember, never forget Lindsey Graham to the last Ukrainian and all of this. So I don't want that. I definitely don't want that. There've been definitely a lot of like white Christian males who have like died and been killed, been forced to go into war. It's actually quite the dynamic going on over there. Anyway, with that said, but other than that about sovereign, that means nothing to me. Like, we need to stop this now. We do. It's not going to stop now. Okay, I'm not a kid. I will say that Trump does, make these hardcore statements like you have 50 days and all of that. And then, it's like he's hardcore on he's always kind of wordy. And other countries don't really pay attention to stuff like that. But, again, like, I cannot get over it. These people are mad that if Fareed left to his own devices, he would love to see American young boys and girls go into war with Russia, allegedly, in my opinion. And they're not his kids, right? These are the people who are talking to us right now, like you're listening to right now. This is disgusting. The cringeworthy is them.